Hey, it's Kevin Syracuse from Sports Hour. We're live here at the Bills game.
You get that?
You get that?
Good evening and welcome into Sports Hour here in Hendricks Hall. I am your host Kevin Syracuse alongside Trevor Hauer, our AFC analyst. So tonight we will be talking about the NFL. We will be breaking it into the AFC and the NFC segments, followed by an MLB segment and the NBA segment as the finals just ended last night. So we won't be talking about the NHL, but Trevor, we have to mention Taylor Hall. I cannot believe that the Sabres somehow pulled this off.
It is about time. We finally made a major move for the Sabres. I mean, we saw a bunch of one-way contracts that went for $700,000 on these players that you really never even heard of. And now we get a top player like Taylor Hall in the organization. It's going to help out players like Jack and players like Olofsson out really, really well. I hope he's on the top line whenever the season starts. But that should only help this team finally get to the playoffs after 9 straight years of missing them.
I sure hope. I mean, how many years have we seen a good team on paper, but it can't translate to on the ice? So I really hope it works out. It works out because, I mean, on paper, the first line right now is Taylor Hall, Jack Eichel, Victor Olofsson. Second line, Jeff Skinner, Eric Stahl, Sam Reinhart. And then you still have guys like Dylan Cousins. They just signed Cody Eakin. I mean, Gergenson's re-signed. I don't know, not the best of the players, but decent. The log line is back with Lazaro and Okposo.
Yeah.
So, we'll see what happens. They just have to re-sign Reinhart, Olofsson.
Yep,
Allmark,
you got to get that done.
Get the RFAs taken care of.
Honestly, I think the team now looks miles better than when it did last year. I mean, obviously, you had a great start in October, a solid November a couple years ago. 2 years in a row, we had a great October, but, I mean, now it's just, this roster now looks way better than how it looked, from last year, the year before that, and et cetera. But Taylor Hall is only going to help out this team. He's not going to, make this team any worse than it is. He's going to make Jack a better player. He's going to make Jack happy to play in Buffalo. That's just what I think.
So, all within 3 days here, we've had the Sabres, one of the worst teams, sign one of the best players, and the Bills are playing on a Tuesday night.
I don't know what's going on. I have no clue. This is the best way to wrap up 2020. Bills are playing on Tuesday, and the Sabres have
there's still a lot of 2020 left.
Oh, trust me, I know.
But yeah, so as of now, the Bills are supposed to be. They were on the flight to Tennessee just a couple hours ago, so I would assume they are about to land. So kickoff is apparently set for 7 o'clock. So that's all. It all is. What's the word I'm trying to find here? If there's any more positive tests tomorrow, the game will be canceled. That's what I'm trying to say.
And as a Colts fan myself, and as a kid from Buffalo, I'd love to see the Bills beat the Tennessee Titans and go 5-0. That would be huge for the Bills, number one, and number two, it would get the Colts back as one of the top contenders there in the AFC South. So
both teams are undefeated.
Both teams are undefeated.
Now, real quick before we get into our other games here, what do you make of this whole situation? Because Tennessee is obviously the target for the NFL right now because they're like the Houston Astros, but worse right now because, the Astros cheated and that was terrible, but this is disobeying the rules and putting others in harm, in which the Titans did. And now it's starting to is having ripple effects because now you're seeing games getting changed. This is affecting the Bills. The Patriots I know they had their own cases, but the Patriots, the Broncos, the Dolphins, the Jets, they moved, 10 or 11 games around yesterday? They came out with a whole list where all these games are changed from week 11 to week 7, 8 to 9. I don't even know. I can't even follow it. But Like I said, the Bills are in Tennessee tomorrow night. Then they're hosting Kansas City. That was supposed to be Thursday night. That'll be next Monday at 5 o'clock in Orchard Park.
Yeah.
The Broncos and the Patriots are playing next Sunday. That was supposed to be tonight, actually. That was supposed to be at 5 o'clock tonight. So, like I said, I can't even follow it. But, I just hope that they can get this under control because the NFL wants to get these games in. And they're going to get to.
Right.
And I hate to say it, but it really looks like, as much as they say that they care about the players' health and safety, I mean, I know they do, but at the same time, in the back of their heads, they're thinking about all that money because they are losing billions of dollars right now.
Yes, they are.
If one of us contracted the virus, we'd all have to quarantine for 14 days.
Yep.
Like, if I had it, my whole class, we would be online for 14 days. Well, now in the NFL, you can have it, but we're going to play a game 3 days later.
Yeah, right. And what you were saying before, like Tennessee blatantly, breaking the rules. NFL placed, before the season started, these COVID-19 rules and regulations going on through the NFL. And Ryan Tannehill in the offense, just under a week ago, took his entire offense to a high school and did a private practice there that wasn't approved by the NFL. And I don't even think the Titans have been fined for that. So they're definitely public enemy number one in the NFL right now.
They're supposedly about to get historic punishment. So I heard hundreds, or I think millions even, in fine, millions of dollars worth of fines, loss of draft picks. They're talking suspensions. I don't know about the forfeit. I mean, obviously they want to get these games in, and they didn't make them forfeit this game. But they're supposed to lay down the hammer on them. But, the best punishment for me is if Josh Allen lights them up tomorrow night.
No, I hope so.
And I think it can happen too. Because, I mean, their facility hasn't been open. Open Saturday?
Saturday.
So they had 2 days to practice?
That's not very good preparation against the undefeated Bills team, right?
Yeah. So 2 official days of practice, and then however many days that they cheated and went to that park.
Right.
But, 2 days of practice going into the Bills. And the Bills are pretty well rested now. They do have a lot of injuries, but I really hope the Bills take it to them.
I hope so, too.
So, that being said, the first game that we want to talk about that did happen yesterday was Jacksonville and Houston. The first game in the post-Bill O'Brien era, and the Texans took this one 30-14 to get their first win of the year.
Yep, I guess that Minshew magic is not really there like it was in Week 1. They're still looking for their second win. Look at these stats right here. Deshaun Watson, 25 for 35, 359 yards, and 3 touchdowns. David Johnson, 17 carries for 96 yards, and Brandon Cooks with 8 receptions for 161 yards and 1 touchdown, just lighting it up.
As you see, one of the field goals made there.
Minshew on a 3rd and 6, dropping back, looking for the end zone. That was one of the only bright spots of the game, I guess, for Jacksonville.
Keelan Cole, he's been a bright spot for Jacksonville this year. They do have some nice young wide receivers. But, yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what the Texans can do now because I really do think that Bill O'Brien was hurting that team.
Oh, he was.
He was the coach and the GM, and I know they beat the Bills last year in the playoffs, but he made some real head-scratching decisions. And I was just like, wait, what?
The one that comes to mind is obviously the DeAndre Hopkins trade.
Yeah, and that was the biggest one, yeah. Like, how do you trade DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson?
I don't
know. What?
I wouldn't even make that trade in Madden, just saying.
Yeah, honestly. So, the Texans are pretty far back now. 2 games, right? The Colts are 3-2. We'll see what the Titans do tomorrow night.
And how these penalties affect them. Maybe the Texans can catch up. Maybe the Jags can catch up. Both teams are 1-4. So I think, in my honest opinion, the AFC South is still up for grabs.
Yeah, for sure. So going over to the AFC North now, Cincinnati and Baltimore. We were talking about this yesterday. I have Josh Allen and Joe Burrow on my fantasy team. I was trying to be smart. I benched Josh Allen, started Joe Burrow, and 4.32 points. And the Ravens just completely ate him up yesterday. That final was 27-3. They did get a field goal in the last few minutes, so Randy Bullock got me a few points here.
Not a shutout for the rookie, but yesterday in fantasy, Joe Burrow was projected to get 18 points. Ended up getting 4.13 points. I mean, he's on my bench. I started Patrick Mahomes last week, but I think this is just one of those welcome to the NFL moments for the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, you're not going to tear up these defenses like you did in LSU for Joe Burrow. Like, you're going to have those games in your rookie season where players are just going to come in and strip sack you all the time and hit you all the time. I think, though, that Joe Burrow is a solid quarterback. I think he's going to bounce back from this. And, I mean, he obviously had a couple 300-plus yard passing games before yesterday. So I think it's only uphill for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, he had 3 straight 300 passing yard games,
Yeah.
300 or more. So I really liked the upside that he had. And I was like, Baltimore stuff, but I think Burrow can at least get me 15, 20 points, at least keep the Bengals in the game. But, I mean, it was just all Baltimore all day. And Lamar Jackson really wasn't even a factor.
No, it was the big defensive showdown yesterday.
Yeah, 19 of 37, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick, and just 2 rushes for 3 yards. So totally not like Lamar. But obviously it was enough because, I mean, he only needed to score 4 points to win.
I started that Ravens defensive fantasy. Thank you. Got me 26 points. So thank you, Baltimore.
So staying in the AFC North, this was a pretty good game. Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, and the Steelers took this one to remain undefeated. They are 4-0, and the final score here was 39-28.
I think the big elephant in the room for this game is the rookie Chase Claypool. I think he's going to be an absolute monster in his next few seasons. Tearing up that Philly defense, getting 4 touchdowns as a rookie. And I think for the Eagles' sake, is this a wake-up call to possibly fire Jim Schwartz as their defensive coordinator, letting a rookie score 4 touchdowns on you?
I don't know if I'd fire Jim Schwartz. I mean, I loved him when he was in Buffalo. I've always thought that he's a great coordinator, especially seeing what their defenses have done. I would look to the offensive side of the ball first because Carson Wentz he's really not doing good this year.
Yeah.
And that offense, I mean, I know they put up 28 or 29 points yesterday?
Yeah, 29 points.
38-29. Okay, I think I said it flipped. But, he was 20 of 35, 258 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he really isn't the same old Carson Wentz that he was a few years back.
I think the injuries are catching up to him.
Yeah. So, yeah, the Steelers are 4-0, and, I've always said Mike Tomlin's one of the best coaches in the league because it doesn't matter what roster that they have. They're always rolling out a good team.
Always a contender. Mike Tomlin is a very good coach, and you can never count the Pittsburgh Steelers out. It doesn't matter who their quarterback is. I mean, even when they had Mason Rudolph, right? Like, they were still a contender. And
Duck Hodges.
And Duck Hodges. Like, Mike Tomlin's just another one of those coaches that doesn't accept losing, and I love that in a coach.
Now, one of the teams that it looks like they're going to have to compete against, this is weird to say, but the Cleveland Browns are 4-1. They beat your Colts, I'm sorry, but they beat them 32-23, as we have some video highlights here.
And, of course you got to show this touchdown from Kareem Hunt, wide open in the back of the end zone. I mean, in the first half, right, like Baker Mayfield looked like an absolute baller in the first half. And then kind of towards the second half, they kind of shut him down a little bit. There's another touchdown there. But you know what? For the Colts' sake, I mean, they need to figure this out, figure out their offense. Like that throw to T.Y. Hilton there from Phillip Rivers was, I mean, they had him on a route like that on a 3rd and 6. I'm very concerned of what the play calling is for Frank Reich and company, but I mean, this was one of the only touchdowns that the Colts scored all day, as you're seeing right now. The rookie Isaiah Rodgers took this one 101 yards for a kickoff return touchdown. So, I mean, that's a bright spot. Special teams is looking good for the Colts, especially for their rookie kicker, Rodrigo Blankenship, and obviously the ability to run back 101 yards for a touchdown. My only concern is the play calling and the way that they're using Phillip Rivers right now as a Colts fan.
Yeah, so 2 games here in less than 2 minutes. So first, Las Vegas Raiders and the Chiefs, 40-32, Vegas. I was surprised here. I thought Kansas City was going to roll in this one, go to 5-0, but Derek Carr said otherwise. He was 22 of 31, 347 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. So the Raiders get it done, and they move to 3-2 now.
And Henry Ruggs III, the rookie, is looking great. 2 receptions for 118 yards and a touchdown. Can't have a better day against the defending Super Bowl champions.
And Mahomes, you know, he wasn't terrible, but he wasn't Mahomes. He was 22 of 43, 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. So, I mean, the Chiefs aren't going to win every game.
Right.
So you're, as Aaron is behind the scenes here, a Chiefs fan, but you know, they're going to have a tough task next week because that's going to be a great game against the Bills for Monday Night Football, you know, as long as it happens. Hopefully the Bills don't pick up the COVID in Tennessee.
Yeah, right.
And finally, to round out the AFC West and to talk about tonight's game, a little preview, Chargers and Saints. Who do you like here?
You know what? The Saints have been kind of confusing me lately by the way that they're losing these games. I'm going to go with an upset. I'm going to take Justin Herbert as a rookie to beat the New Orleans Saints, and Keenan Allen's going to have a night.
Ooh, okay. I hope so. I need Keenan Allen in fantasy. I'm going to go with the Saints because they are just too good, especially at home. I know they don't really have fans. The Chargers have a ton of injuries. Yes, but Herbert is the full-time starter, Anthony Lynn announced. So we'll see if he can get the ball rolling tonight. So thanks for coming on. Sarah Gordon will be on to talk about the NFC here in 2 minutes.
We've been down there. You gotta do the same. Post office. All you do is sign. So don't get nervous. Sign your name. For selective service. It takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. For selective service.
Hey guys, if you're about to turn 18, you've got to register with Selective Service. It's simple. Just go down to the post office, fill out a card, and turn it in. That's all there is to it. There's no draft now. You're just adding your name to Selective Service's list in case there's a national emergency.
So if you're 18 now, selective service, you gotta get down to the post office.
Register with Selective Service. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the law.
Takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. Selective service.
What a great time for a drink. What a great time for a drink. What a great time for a drink.
If it's time for a drink this many times a day, you're not a social drinker. You're a problem drinker. And you could be well on your way to really messing up your life. Think about it. Talk to somebody about it. Do something about it before it's too late. A message in the interest of your better health from the American Medical Association.
This is not a commercial. If you think measles, mumps, whooping cough, or polio are nothing to worry about, you'd better think again, because they could make your child go blind or deaf. They can cripple or kill. To protect children, you have to get them immunized. Get them their shots. It costs nothing or very little, so get it done now by your doctor or local health center. Your child's future is in your hands. Don't let her down.
A message in the interest of better health from the American Medical Association.
Gordon joins us now for the first time. She's been helping out behind the scenes, but we have her on now to talk about the NFC. So, Sarah, how's it going?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. And obviously a Bills fan.
Yes, clearly. I'm
Well,
a big Bills fan.
The first game that we have on the slate here is Tampa Bay and Chicago. And I have to ask, what are your thoughts of Tom Brady now that he's not a Patriot? Do you still hate him as much?
I mean, I probably. Yeah, because he just has this attitude and just way about him. I mean, it's a little bit of a different game now that he's not with Bill Belichick, but he's still Tom Brady when it comes down to it. So I'd have to say, yeah.
Yeah, I was watching that game the other night, and I'm like, you know, I don't dislike him as much now, but like at the same time, it's just so hard to root for Brady now, because like a lot of people are like, oh, let's see what he can do down in Tampa. He's got Gronk with him, and now all these weapons now. Let's see if he can take Tampa Bay to the Super Bowl, which is in Tampa this year. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, I guess it'd be cool, but like, I just can't root for Brady.
Yeah,
and
you just can't do it.
It was so nice to watch him not lead a comeback. He had 46 game-winning drives in his career, and the Bears shut him down here, as we will be seeing in the highlights. But he finally did not lead a comeback, and I was just like, oh, this looks so nice.
Absolutely. It's refreshing to see.
Yeah, so Nick Foles got the start, and, you know, the Bears, Matt Nagy went with Nick Foles. He made the decision to go with Nick Foles. They were 3-0 with Mitch Trubisky, and now they are, well, they did win, so they are 1-1, but Foles really is, you know, he hasn't been the same Nick Foles that he was in Philadelphia.
Absolutely. And as we see, like, this was the first time since the Super Bowl game with the Patriots, and this is the first time that Tom Brady has taken on Foles since that time. And so they lost to him again.
Yeah, so Foles got the best of him again. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, because the Bears weren't doing great with Trubisky, but at the same time, it's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, you're 3-0. And you spent all that draft capital on Trubisky. You passed up on Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. It's kind of like, don't give up on him now. You know, you invested so much into him. I mean, I don't think they're giving up on Trubisky. They probably just think that this is the best chance to win now. And I think Nick Foles is the better quarterback. So, I mean, I guess you do have to go with him. But I don't know. It's just a kind of a wacky situation.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see where they take that in the future, and which quarterback they decide to keep on.
So they are second in the NFC North right now. They are 4-1. And then the Packers are 4-0. They're on the bye this week. And then Tampa is leading the NFC South. They are 3-2. So next game on the list, speaking of the NFC South, Carolina and Atlanta.
Yes.
And finally, Dan Quinn is fired as the Panthers they gave the Falcons another loss. And, you know, Arthur Blank said after the game that Dan Quinn is done, and their GM got fired as well.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's about time too, because obviously this was the 5th loss for the Falcons, so just change needed to come, and hopefully this is a change for the better for the Atlanta Falcons.
And I saw a report from ESPN today. Arthur Blank, he's not committing to Matt Ryan long term, which on one aspect is kind of like, why? He's Matt Ryan. He's still one of the best. But then when you think about it, it's like, well, he is getting up there in age, and it's not working right now in Atlanta. So you might want to just clean house, draft a quarterback, let him sit behind Ryan for a year or two, and then just, you know, start fresh next year.
Absolutely.
So moving over to the NFC West now, Arizona and the Jets. I thought the Cardinals would have really stomped on the Jets. They only beat them by 20, but it was still enough of a blowout here.
And then we had Joe Flacco filled in for Sam Darnold after his shoulder injury. And you could just see the difference between Flacco and Kyler Murray on this, as Flacco went 18 for 33 on passes and only 195 yards and a touchdown, while Kyler Murray had 27 for 37 passes, 380 yards with 1 touchdown. So you really see the difference between the two teams, and you know, the Jets are struggling for sure. So hopefully they can find a solution soon enough, but I think it's going to continue to be a rough season for them.
Yeah, both New York teams, as we will be talking about the Giants here in a minute, but they're both 0-10 now.
Yeah.
So a combined 0-10, and it's so bad that I saw a report over the weekend that the Jets don't even think that they can get a first-round pick for Sam Darnold. So that's kind of upsetting in itself, but then when you think about it, it's like, wait, you want to trade this guy? You drafted him 3 years ago to be your franchise quarterback, and you're already thinking about trading him?
Yeah.
And now you don't even think you can get a first-round pick for him?
I know.
I don't know.
Crazy.
I'm glad that I am not a Jets fan, because that is a mess there.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more.
So actually, I should say both New Jersey teams are 0-10. The one New York team is 4-0.
Yeah, that's true.
So sticking with the NFC West now, and also another AFC East team, Miami and San Fran. I could not believe this. Miami was beating them 30-7 at halftime, and Fitzmagic came out again, and he threw for 350 yards, and they beat him by a final score of 43-17.
Yeah, you gotta. I mean, come on, that Fitzmagic. It's just crazy. The comeback, and you would never think that the Miami Dolphins would have such a blowout game against the 49ers. I mean, it's a real stunner, and especially at their home. It was just kind of crazy turn of events right there.
Yeah, Raheem Mostert and Jimmy Garoppolo were back for the 49ers. Mostert looked pretty good. Garoppolo did not, and he was actually benched at halftime. So that's another, I mean, obviously they're not like the Jets.
Yeah.
They know that Jimmy G's their guy. But, you know, San Fran, obviously it's not time to hit the panic button yet, but a year being out from being in the Super Bowl, and now they're 2-2. You know, a lot of injuries, and now Garoppolo's not looking too good. Like I said, though, it's still early, but it's definitely concerning at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Coach Shanahan had said that Garoppolo was taken out mostly to protect him, but nothing really to do with his performance. But still, after coming back from an injury, we'll have to see how his performance is going to pan out the rest of the season.
Another NFC West game here. We had the Rams and the football team, and the Rams took this one 30-10. They are 4-1 now.
Yes, that's impressive for the Rams.
So the standings right now are Seattle is. Are they? Was that their 5th one? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so they're 5-0.
one.
Yeah.
5-0.
The score that I'm looking at here says 4-0. Actually, I got to double check the 49ers record now too.
Yeah.
Because I think they're 2-3. Yeah, I'll double check that. But yeah, Seattle's 5-0, and the Rams are 4-1. Yeah. Okay, this did not update it, so I can't be going with this one. But yeah, I think the big story here was Alex Smith.
Oh yeah.
You know, aside from the game, Alex Smith, not even 2 years from that gruesome knee injury that literally almost took his leg and his life. It got to the point where they said he might not survive. And now he's back. You know, they took Dwayne Haskins out. They said he just wasn't preparing well enough. He wasn't studying enough. So they put Kyle Allen in, and Haskins wasn't even the backup. Alex Smith was the backup. Haskins is the 3rd string now. So Kyle Allen got hurt. He got knocked in the head. And all of a sudden, Alex Smith is in.
Yeah, and it's insane. After he had 17 surgeries in 2018, it's just crazy to see him back in this position. Unfortunately, it was a rough game for the team, but it's still a big win for Alex Smith to be back playing again.
Yeah, that was just awesome to see. I don't know what's going to happen next week. I mean, I guess Haskins isn't the guy anymore. Yeah. So if Allen's out, I guess Alex Smith is the guy again.
Yeah.
And it was really scary because Aaron Donald had 4 sacks, and I think Smith got sacked like 6 or 7 times. And it's kind of like every time you're watching, they're kind of holding your breath to make sure that nothing bad happens again. But okay, real quick, I just pulled up the standings. So Seattle's 5-0, the Rams are 4-1, Cardinals are 3-2, 49ers are 2-3. So yeah, Seattle is just on another level. We will get to them in a second. The other game that we have to talk about, the Giants and the Cowboys. Again, the big story here is based on an injury. This one is unfortunately a player not returning. It's Dak Prescott, who is done for a while after he broke his ankle, and there was a dislocation, a fracture. It was bad.
It was really bad. It was one of those you kind of saw it happen, and you're just like, oh, this is not going to be good. And so he's definitely out for the rest of the season, and if not longer. We'll have to see what next season will hold. But it's really unfortunate, and it was really emotional too for him. We saw that he was holding back tears as he's getting carted off the field, and his teammates are all there supporting, but it's just really upsetting for the Dallas Cowboys.
And I completely forgot that they signed Andy Dalton. So Dalton came in, and he led them to the victory. So 37-34 was the final. And because that division is so wacky, they're in first place right now. They're 2-3. The Eagles are 1-3-1. The football team is 1-4, and the Giants are 0-5. So we'll see what Andy Dalton can do. I think he's, you know, when they signed him, I was like, he's like he's a perfect backup.
Yeah.
So now he's obviously a starter. So we'll see. And then the last game, like I said, Seattle. I do not know why Minnesota, as we have some highlights here, but the Seahawks won 27-26. Minnesota had the ball. It was 4th and 1 with, I want to say, just under 2 minutes left. 4th and 1. All you had to do was kick the field goal and go up by 8 points.
Yeah.
Make Seattle drive down the field, get the touchdown and the 2-point conversion. But they decided to go for it. They get stuffed. And then Russell Wilson leads them down the field in the rainstorm. And then they get a game-winning touchdown.
Yeah.
You can't give them that chance. You have to take the points and at least go into overtime at the bare minimum. But now, they just blew the game, and they fell to 1-4.
While the Seahawks just keep plowing ahead, and now they're 5-0 in the season, and this is actually the very first time in Seahawks history that they've gone 5-0 in franchise history.
Russell Wilson has never gotten a vote for MVP, but maybe he will this year. He is just outstanding this year. So thank you for coming on. And in a couple of minutes, Dee will be on to talk about the MLB playoffs as the NLCS is currently in action right now.
We've been down there. You gotta do the same. Post office. All you do is sign. So don't get nervous. Sign your name. For selective service. It takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. For selective service.
Hey guys, if you're about to turn 18, you gotta register with Selective Service. It's simple. Just go down to the post office, fill out a card, and turn it in. That's all there is to it. There's no draft now. You're just adding your name to Selective Service's list in case there's a national emergency.
So if you're 18 now, Selective Service, you gotta get down to the post office.
Register with Selective Service. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the law.
Takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. Selective Service.
What a great time for a drink. What a great time for a drink. What a great time for a drink.
If it's time for a drink this many times a day, you're not a social drinker. You're a problem drinker. And you could be well on your way to really messing up your life. Think about it. Talk to somebody about it. Do something about it before it's too late. A message in the interest of your better health from the American Medical Association.
This is not a commercial.
If you think measles, mumps, whooping cough, or polio are nothing to worry about, you'd better think again, because they could make your child go blind or deaf. They can cripple or kill. To protect children, you have to get them immunized. Get them their shots. It costs nothing or very little, so get it done now by your doctor or local health center. Your child's future is in your hands. Don't let her down.
A message in the interest of better health from the American Medical Association.
Happy to have Dee Thomas back now to talk about the MLB. And Dee, unfortunately, we can't be talking about the Yankees right now.
I don't want to talk about it anyway.
Chapman gave up another series-winning home run, this time to the Rays, who are currently up 2-0 on the Astros, which is a good thing because obviously we all hate the Astros. So I guess we're Rays fans now, but oh man, I was really hoping that we could get to Houston again.
I was really hoping that, the Yankees could pull it off. I had some faith in Chapman, actually, in the beginning of the game when he first came in. But I personally think Boone's going to beat himself up for this, but I think he put him in too soon. I think maybe Cole could have lasted a couple more outs, put Britton in later. We still had a whole bullpen of people that we could have thrown in. Chad Green, we could have thrown in Luis Sessa. But the past is in the past, and now everyone who was a Yankees fan in the last series games is now a Rays fan because they don't want the Astros to win. No one wants the Astros to win at this point because of all of the past things that they've done. They're cheaters. I mean, we don't want cheaters winning in the American League. Nope.
Well, before we go on and talk about the bracket, we have to say that Joe Morgan passed away today. He was 77. And this is just one of many unfortunate deaths in the MLB over the last few weeks, few months here. I was trying to think of a couple here. We have Joe Morgan, Bob Gibson, Whitey Ford, Lou Brock, Al Kaline. So many legendary MLB players that have died this year. It's just so sad to see.
It is very unfortunate. You know, they're just such big legends. Whitey Ford played with, I really can't think of his name right now. Not Mickey, Lou Gehrig? I can't think of anyone's name right now. But he was 91, I think. I think he just passed from old age. So, you know, all these legends, I mean, just think about the next round. It's all going to come at once again. There's going to be 5 more. That's how it works. So we should get to the wild card because we have 2 weeks of playoffs to cover.
Yeah, so, you know, just running over the bracket here. So, again, Tampa won 3-2. So the Yankees they got sent home. The Astros beat the A's 3-1. And then in the NL side, the Dodgers swept the Padres 3-0. The Marlins got swept by the Braves 3-0. So now it is Tampa and Houston, and then the Dodgers and the Braves. And, you know, even though the Yankees aren't in, I think these are going to be some really nice series here.
What I find the most impressive about the National League is that the Dodgers and the Braves have swept all of the teams that they played. They swept in the division series. The Dodgers swept the Padres and Atlanta swept the Marlins, which I'm still shocked that the Marlins made the playoffs, but that's what happens when they let 8 teams on each side enter the playoffs. So, the Yankees, when they played the Indians, it was a bomb fest in the first game. They won 12-3. Garrett Cole had 13 strikeouts. There was talk about Gardner starting over Clint Frazier in the outfield, which, I mean, I think Boone made a great decision because Gardner ended up slugging a 2-run home run and having 3 hits that game and 3 RBIs. I mean, we've got so many guys competing for the outfield for the Yankees. You have Hicks, Stanton, Judge, Gardner, Tauchman. You have all these guys that play the outfield, and they're all good when you put them in, which is impressive. That's what you need. There's a reason why they're called the Bronx Bombers, because they just hit bombs all the time. So, I mean, I'm glad they beat the Indians. I wish they beat the Rays, but it was a good season overall, I think, definitely, for only playing 60-plus games.
Yeah, it was definitely up and down. I mean, the Yankees started out great, and then they lost, what was that, like almost 10 in a row, I think?
Yeah, 10 in a row.
And then they got hot again. You know, they had a lot of players come back from the injured list. They started getting hot again. And we were talking about it on one of our last shows, how we thought they could ride that momentum in the playoffs, and it looked like they were for a little bit there. And then the wheels just kind of fell off against Tampa. I mean, it wasn't a terrible series.
No.
It was back and forth, but you know, it just everything kind of fell apart in that Game 5.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, I don't understand why Aaron Boone thought Chapman can get 7 outs. I mean, the Yankees they've spent millions of dollars to build up this bullpen, and you have tons of guys to choose from. And you try to get 7 outs out of Chapman, who, again, gave up the game-winning home run, the series-winning home run to Jose Altuve last year. And I completely forgot about this, but he was also the one responsible who gave up the game-tying home run in the World Series against Rajai Davis when he was with the Cubs back in 2016. And I believe that was in Game 7, right?
Yeah.
Because that extended the game. So Chapman has a history of giving up huge home runs because he, you know, when he came into the league, he was consistently throwing 104, 105, 106. No one could touch him. But now he's down to, I mean, it's still fast, but he's down to 99, 100, 101. And now he's just like serving it, like right down the middle.
He's leaving it too high for these guys. And, you know, everyone knows that if you leave a pitch too high against these players, they're going to crush it. There's no doubt about it. These guys are way too good for, you know, you to just leave it right down the middle in the red zone, danger zone. Nope.
Well, because like I said, a few years ago he could get away with that because no one could catch up to it.
No.
But now they're starting to catch up to it, and
because they're used to it.
Yeah, and it's just right down the middle, like that home run against Brasso, which, you know, on the Rays side, I will admit that was pretty sweet revenge for them because Chapman, that was the one who Chapman threw at his head on September 1st, and then that led to the whole Yankees-Rays brawl. So if you're a Rays fan, I mean, that must have been pretty cool to see that because even I, as a Yankees fan, I was like, why is he throwing at his head? Like, that's not cool. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, Chapman, I think, is just wild. I mean, he throws so fast, he relies on it. So, I mean, when I see him throwing crazy like that, I'm not surprised. I kind of expect it. Going back to the Yankees and Indians game, actually, what shocked me the most is Shane Bieber, who was, you know, a Triple Crown winner this year in pitching, only lasted 4.2 innings, gave up 7 earned runs, 9 hits, 2 of those were homers, and had only 7 strikeouts. I mean, that might seem impressive, but the first game that he pitched was when the Yankees won 12-3. It was a slugfest for them. So, I mean, either Shane Bieber had an off day or the Yankees just were hitting. They just had a good day. No one knows. No one knows.
Yeah, it definitely didn't look like the Shane Bieber who was 7-1 in the regular season. Was it 7-1 or 8-1? Something crazy like that with the crazy good ERA and WHIP and everything else. I mean, he won the Triple Crown. So, yeah, the Yankees got the best of him there. And then going over to the NL wildcard here. So I want to start with the Braves here. So they swept the Reds. They won Game 1 in 11 innings. And, you know, they just kind of took it from there. The Reds, you know, I thought they had a real nice offseason. They got Mike Moustakas, Nick Castellanos, that player from Japan, I can't remember his name, I can't pronounce it. They still have Trevor Bauer, Sonny Gray, so they built up their rotation nice. And, you know, again, the wheels just kind of fell off for them.
I want to say the Reds played an amazing game. Bauer pitched an amazing game. He pitched 7.2 innings, had 12 strikeouts, only gave up 2 hits, but his offense was not behind him in that game. They left 13 runners on base and had 11 hits, and they didn't score at all. When you leave that many guys on base and you don't score and your pitcher does amazing, what went wrong? I mean, Max Fried of Atlanta pitched 7 innings, ended up going 7-0 this season. I mean, he pitched a great game, but when, like I said, the Reds just left too many guys on base and had 11 hits and couldn't cash anyone in. Come on. And Trevor Bauer pitched amazing. I mean, you got to back him up when you have that many people on base. You have to help him.
Now going over to the Marlins and Cubs here. The Marlins swept the Cubs, and I think the Cubs dynasty is, I don't want to say completely over, but it doesn't seem too good now because, I mean, 2016 was their peak.
Yeah.
And they've lost a few players from that. I mean, they still have Rizzo, Bryant, Baez, Schwarber, Contreras, but they're definitely not what they used to be.
Oh, definitely. No, I mean, they had a great year, but they just haven't been the same since. They got to fix something there. I mean, what was their seeding when they went into the playoffs?
They were the 3 seed.
So I mean, they did pretty well. I give them the credit, but I mean, they got swept by the Marlins, and I don't know. I think maybe trade a few guys, maybe bulk up a little bit more in the offseason, and I could see them coming back and going back into the World Series. It's just a matter of time for them again.
Now, a series I really enjoyed watching. I'm as much as I do like the Dodgers, I was really upset to see them beat the Padres because that series against the Cardinals was awesome to watch with Tatis and Machado just carrying that team.
Yeah, I was a Machado fan when he played for the Orioles, and then he moved over to the Padres, and I mean, he's just improved so much ever since he was a rookie. I think, you know, he really does carry the Padres a lot with his other teammate, but I think, I don't know, it would have been interesting to see who, I don't know. I mean, they won, what, 11-9, 4-0. All those hits by Machado, and what was the other guy's name?
Tatis,
yeah. But I don't know. I could see I'm calling it now. My prediction is that the Dodgers and the Rays are going to go to the World Series, and the Dodgers are going to win in 6.
I don't know if I said this on the show or if I was just talking about it with one of my friends, but I said a couple weeks ago, I was like, you know, I could really see Tampa and Atlanta in the World Series, and we really could see that. Tampa's up 2-0 now on the Astros, and like I said, we're Rays fans now. And that Dodgers-Braves series, that's going to be good because, like you said, both teams are undefeated in the postseason. And the thing with the Dodgers is they can never pull it together in crunch time.
No.
Especially Clayton Kershaw. He always seems to crumble.
Yeah.
Everything's looked great so far. You had Mookie Betts, and you think this is their year, but is it really?
I mean, Kershaw just needs to, you know, buckle down. He had, you know, he earned his fifth win of the year and had 13 strikeouts against the Brewers. And then, you know, he when they played the Padres, I mean, they swept them. So, I mean, he's got to really crunch down right now if he wants to make it back to the World Series. Right now, Braves are up 1-0, top of the second against them. So I think it's going to be 1-run games, 2-run games in this series. So it'll be interesting, definitely.
I think that's a really cool matchup because those are two of the most complete teams in the league. I mean, when you look at the depth charts and well, at least like the starting lineups. Well, yeah, I mean, even the depth chart too, because like that's just a solid roster on each side. And you know, there's a lot of stars, starting with Ronald Acuna Jr. and Mookie Betts, and then you have Clayton Kershaw, Max Fried, like you said, he was 7-0 this year. So, like I said, that's going to be a real fun series to watch. And then for Tampa and Houston, I mean, Houston, they've been playing really well. But Tampa's just like sneakily good. They have all these like no-name guys, and every year they're just so good. Because I said this at the beginning of the year, I was like, Tampa, when I was trying to make my projections, I was like, I don't know, I got a weird feeling about Tampa this year because they're just always so good. And they're just all like, they're that nagging team that's, you don't expect them to be good, but yet there they are. Like they're always just in the way. And I really hope they do get in the way this time.
Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't be cheering for the Rays, but I'm going to cheer for the Rays because they're in the same division as the Yankees, so it'll make us look good. But it's going to be an interesting year. We've said it since the beginning. It's, you know, COVID really changes everything when it comes down to baseball, all the sports, but I'm going to stick with my prediction that the Dodgers and the Rays, the Dodgers in 6.
Okay, I'm gonna go with my original, Tampa and Atlanta.
And how many?
I'm gonna say Tampa. I don't know. We're running out of time, but I'm gonna go Tampa and Atlanta because I want to save time for World Series Game 1 starts on Tuesday. So we will next Monday. We will definitely have to have the MLB segment back on and kind of recap the 2 championship series here and then preview the World Series, as the latest possible date would be Sunday the 18th. That would be Game 7 for the Braves and the Dodgers. So we'll see. I mean, it's going to get real tight here. Or if I can say real quick, I'll say Tampa in 6, Atlanta in 7. Okay. I got it in. But all right, thank you for coming on. And finally, we will have Meyer on to talk about the Lakers, who won the title last night.
We've been down there. You gotta do the same. Post office. All you do is sign. So don't get nervous. Sign your name. For selective service. It takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. For selective service.
Hey guys, if you're about to turn 18, you got to register with Selective Service. It's simple. Just go down to the post office, fill out a card, and turn it in. That's all there is to it. There's no draft now. You're just adding your name to Selective Service's list in case there's a national emergency.
So if you're 18 now, Selective Service, you gotta get down to the post office.
Register with Selective Service. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the law.
Takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. Selective Service.
What a great time for a drink. What a great time for a drink. What a great time for a drink.
If it's time for a drink this many times a day, you're not a social drinker. You're a problem drinker. And you could be well on your way to really messing up your life. Think about it. Talk to somebody about it. Do something about it before it's too late. A message in the interest of your better health from the American Medical Association.
This is not a commercial.
If you think measles, mumps, whooping cough, or polio are nothing to worry about, you'd better think again, because they could make your child go blind or deaf. They can cripple or kill. To protect children, you have to get them immunized. Get them their shots. It costs nothing or very little, so get it done now by your doctor or local health center. Your child's future is in your hands. Don't let her down.
A message in the interest of better health from the American Medical Association.
Meyer Mikulski joins us now for the last portion of our show here. And Meyer, we were both right. The Lakers won in 6 games.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really a surprise to me, especially after the way things went down on Friday. I believe on Friday, the Lakers sort of teased their fans, in a sense, that they were right there as far as winning the championship. But now, it happens.
Yeah, you know, I wouldn't go, you know, I won't say it was a tease. I think it was just really good basketball from Miami and Jimmy Butler. I mean, I've been kind of talking him up the last few weeks here, and we were kind of talking, is he a superstar or is he not? And I was like, well, maybe he's not like a superstar like LeBron, but he's at least a star who can carry a team. And that's exactly what he did, because, you know, I'm watching that game and it was just back and forth, and it was so cool to see Butler, LeBron, just back and forth, and he out-dueled LeBron. And I was like, man, that was a great game. It was just fun to watch. And I was like, can he do it again, do you think? But I think the Heat just kind of ran out of steam at the end.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to touch on that last play real quick. I believe that LeBron did make the right play to kick it out to Danny Green. It just didn't work out in their favor. You know,
you're talking about on Friday, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because Danny Green missed that 3. I thought for sure that was going to be going in. Like, I had a vision of, you know, back in the day when Ray Allen hit that 3 in the finals against the Spurs. I don't know if LeBron had the assist there, but I just felt like it was one of those moments where...
Actually, it was Bosh that had the assist.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, because he got the rebound.
Oh, yeah. So, I don't know, I just had a vision where there was like one of those big moments for LeBron in the finals where, you know, his team just pulls it together. But I was happy that he missed, because I really wanted Miami to win. I wanted this to go to 7, and I was actually hoping Miami was going to win the series. But, yeah, no, that was a great game Friday, and then, like I said, they just ran out of steam last night, I think.
So some of my takeaways I had from this whole game from the Lakers are that they set the tone defensively, especially in the first quarter. They forced a lot of turnovers. The role players really stepped up big, especially Rondo and Caldwell Pope. And I believe that Frank Vogel's decision to start Caruso over Dwight Howard paid off, because it provided spacing for Rajon Rondo and LeBron to get in the paint and then kick it out to shooters if necessary.
So, yeah, what was the Lakers starting 5 last night?
So their lineup, so LeBron he's really their de facto point guard, but they also had Danny Green, Caldwell Pope, Caruso, and Davis at center.
Okay, wait, Caruso's
really the starting point guard, but LeBron really does the point guard duties.
So was he technically the power forward then?
No, LeBron, it was probably LeBron. But
yeah, because, I mean, I don't know who listed him. I think LeBron's listed as a point guard, right?
Yeah, for this year, he's been listed as a point guard.
So a little bit of small ball action. But, I mean, obviously it worked out. And LeBron gets his 4th title. So he's 4-6 in the finals. I mean, that's just incredible to be in 10 NBA finals. And we've been talking about this, and I couldn't, every week I've been messing it up, but now I have it straight here. So Kobe in 2009 beat Houston in round 2. He then he and the Lakers, it wasn't just Kobe, beat Denver in the Western Conference Finals, and then he won his 4th ring in Orlando. And the Lakers were the 1 seed that year. This year, 2020, the Lakers are the 1 seed. The Lakers beat Houston in round 2. LeBron and the Lakers beat Denver in the Western Conference Finals, and then LeBron wins his 4th ring in Orlando. So, I mean, you can't make this stuff up. I mean, I think everyone was you just kind of assumed it was the Lakers' year to win it this year.
Yeah, especially after the tragic death of Kobe. It was only right that they won it for him.
And Dwight Howard won another title in Orlando, which is kind of weird to see. But, you know, we're talking about all these players. Last week we were talking about the experience that the Lakers have. And I think that was a huge factor, don't you?
It definitely was. Especially with Rondo on the floor, because he's an on-the-court coach. And that's something the Miami Heat really didn't have, was an on-the-court coach that could slow the game down.
Yeah, so you have Rondo, Dwight Howard, Danny Green, JaVale McGee won his third ring. J.R. Smith, who was shirtless,
won a second ring.
He was shirtless. I don't even think the clock had run out yet, right?
Yeah.
And he was already ripping his shirt off. So he didn't even play a minute in the NBA Finals, and he was the first one to touch a trophy and the first one to take his shirt off.
I mean, when you win a championship, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, and well, you don't have to tell JR twice.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, the experience here really was a key factor to the Lakers. And, you know, that was a question I posed to you last week was, you know, the Heat have more of that young roster mixed in with veterans.
Yeah.
And the Lakers are mainly just a bunch of veterans. You do have some young guys, but it's a lot of veterans. And we're trying to see how was it going to play out. And in the end, the experienced outweighed the youngness.
Yeah. But overall, I feel like the Heat, they really don't have anything to be ashamed of.
Oh, no, that was a great year for the Heat.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of people were thinking it was going to be Milwaukee and the Lakers all
or the
along,
Clippers.
Right? Or the Clippers, yeah. I don't think anyone thought Miami was going to be in the finals.
Yeah, no one did. People thought Jimmy Butler was silly for going to the Heat, and now look.
Yeah. So, yeah, they definitely don't have anything to be ashamed of. To take two against the Lakers, I mean, honestly, it was pretty good considering Bam was banged up. Butler got banged up a little bit. Goran Dragic did come back. He got hurt. That he had plantar fasciitis, right? Or something with his foot. And that's tough. Huh?
His right foot, I believe.
Yeah, that's tough to come back from. So he fought back. What were his stats last night?
He only had like 6 points or something like that. He didn't play very well.
Yeah,
but obviously,
5 points,
when you're
5
coming off
rebounds.
an injury.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it wasn't the old Goran Dragic at the beginning of the playoffs. But, like you said, a lot to be proud of down in Miami.
Yeah. So now I have some historical facts real quick. So the first one I want to touch on is that LeBron James and Danny Green joined Robert Horry and John Sally as the only players to win an NBA championship on 3 different teams. Also, LeBron James passed Derek Fisher for the most played playoff games in NBA history. And Rajon Rondo is just the second player in NBA history to win an NBA championship with both the Boston Celtics and the Los Angeles Lakers.
Now, real quick, before we get into the offseason outlook here, I got to ask you. LeBron was saying how, you know, they brought Anthony Davis over here so they could push him to be better. And he was saying, like, I didn't have anyone in Cleveland, so I went down to Miami so Wade and Bosh could push me to be the best that I could be. Now we brought AD over here so we can push each other to be the best. And it's like, okay, like, I see it in that aspect, but at the same time, they're kind of like building super teams. So what do you think about all that? I mean, obviously it's fair. You know, they didn't do anything wrong, but do you like that, you know, you kind of have these teams like, it's not as bad now because it's just LeBron and Anthony Davis, but like down in Miami when he built that super team, do you think that's a fair assessment to make? Like even with Golden State when Durant left the Thunder for the Warriors, like yeah, it's still a great accomplishment. It's hard to win an NBA title no matter who you are or who your team is, but it's definitely a lot easier when you have 2 other superstars with you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you think it's... Obviously, there's not... I wouldn't say there's an asterisk by it, but do you think that diminishes the effect of it at all?
No, I don't believe so.
All right, so real quick, a couple minutes here. What's your offseason lookout for these teams?
So, for the Lakers, priority number 1 is re-signing Anthony Davis, as well as keeping Rondo, because I believe Rondo, his IQ really helped the Lakers in this run in winning that championship. And also, what do they do with the 28th pick in the draft? Do they draft a guard or do they trade the pick? And as for the Heat, will they run it back with the same team? And will they keep Dragic? That's going to be a key signing as well because he's unrestricted this offseason.
And then other free agents that they have, Jay Crowder, Myers Leonard, Solomon Hill. So, you know, we'll see what they do. Olynyk has a player option. So a lot of these veteran guys, is Iguodala under contract?
Yeah, he signed like a 3-year contract or something like
okay.
that.
So, yeah, it'll definitely be interesting. Now, the NHL said that their target date to return for the new year is January 1st. I haven't heard anything about
Yeah, they haven't
NBA,
gotten into that yet.
But I'm thinking it's going to be around the same time. But I have to say real quick, hats off to Adam Silver and the whole league. They went to that bubble, 0 positive cases. That was great all year. No one was infected. They got through the season, and the Lakers won their 17th title. So, Meyer, thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching at home. Now, next week, we will have to talk about if we're going to still air at 8. I'm sure we will air at 8 o'clock, but, you know, the Bills are playing at 5. I'm going to be, if we win, I'm going to be ecstatic. If we lose, I don't know. We're going to have a lot of feelings, so maybe we'll push back the show a little bit. I don't know if we can. We'll have to talk. But either way, we'll be back next week, and hopefully the Bills will still be undefeated. So have a good evening.